Joseph, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited. I'm ready to go.
Talk to me about what you've learned from school and how has it influenced the way you've trained?
So, my school journey has been a road, a whole, kind of journey in its own. I started school right out of after I graduated high school in 2016. From there, I actually wanted to go into electrical engineering. I was very good at math, so I was like, I took AP Calc in high school and everything, and I passed my AP test with a 3. Not the best, but I was still solid, for a college course in high school.
Yeah.
So I initially went to RCC as going for electrical engineering. What I realized was I was good at math, but then I realized I was like, is this something I want to do in the long run? So for me, it was just like, no, it's like I'm good at it, but I don't want to do it for the rest of my life, So, and I saw electrical engineers make good money, really good money, but I was still like, it's not something I'm passionate about. So I ended up transferring. After 2 years at RCC, I transferred to MSJC to actually play baseball. Because after kind of like that switch where I was like, I don't want to do this, I was like, let me go back to what I know and I love, which is baseball. And so for me, I transferred over to MSJC, played a year there, went to school there, and then after that, I was getting looked at from different colleges, one of the most notable being Cal State Fullerton, and so that was a big opportunity for me, and I was like, oh yes, this is what I want. When they had come out to scout me at MSJC, I had injured myself and in that game that they came out, and I had broken my wrist. And so that, as a JUCO product, kind of like if they're looking at you, that's already like kind of a risk they're taking. But for you to be injured now is just like, oh, okay, well, you don't really have any use to us. Maybe that's not what they're thinking, but that's kind of like what it kind of shows.
Kind of the nature of it, right?
So baseball career ended. I wasn't pursuing electrical engineering anymore, so I was at a point where like, okay, well, what do I want to do? What am I passionate about, besides baseball? And so I took that next semester off, which ultimately led into like 2 years of taking school off from college. And one thing for me was like, well, I'm an athlete. I love competing. I love like my body, but some things that restricted me were my injuries, me not having the knowledge, so the lack of knowledge of like how to strength train or how to recover properly. So for me, I was like, well, what aligns with that? And I'm already going to the gym. I have a good friend, his name's Isaiah. He had actually told me a while back, he's like, dude, you should be a trainer. Because I went to the gym with him for a workout one time, and he's like, dude, like, you do so good. So his presence actually kind of like came back into my head like those 2 years later, and I was like, let me just be a trainer. So went out, got my certification through NASM, became a trainer, started training at EOS Fitness. And then from there, kind of moved on into doing my own thing. So like training on my own. So as far as like schooling wise, it helped me just more so as far as kind of, I would say those first like 3 years maybe wasn't as like learningful or like as beneficial for me as far as like what I do now. Right. Except for my anatomy and physiology of 101 and 102. Anyone who knows who's in the health field. So, my professor, I have to look up what her name was because she made me like reinvigorated with like so much passion for like the health, the human body. Just like I get it, I'm a trainer, but like I learned so many things that are like that doctors learn and whatnot. That I was like, it's like so interesting that the body does that, And from that's what I would say helped me kind of like take that passion and put it into what I do now as a trainer. So like, rather than just focusing on like the strength, just focusing on the physique and everything, like I focus more on kind of like the longevity of someone's health. Like there's a bunch of different factors, and like from what I learned in that anatomy and physiology 101 and 102, that really helped me think like, okay, like there's so much more to the body than just trying to look good or just trying to get big. So that's something from school that helped me out now. But now that's the reason why I'm going back to school, is to kind of build on that foundational knowledge and just complete it and further my knowledge there. That way I can share it with more of my clients.
Yeah, just like bleeding curiosity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes something needs to happen, and then you need to be a little bit curious about why it happened, or it kind of just gets you in that right direction, so that way you can then do some with that information, so you can use that afterwards.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's interesting. So the people you're helping, what are their struggles, and what's holding them back from reaching their goals?
The people I help, it honestly spans like a broad spectrum. As far as currently, I help out elderly, like my clients are like elderly, like in their 70s. Some of my clients in my past, I've helped out who are like 12 years old. So really, I'm helping out anyone who's really, as far as like with my knowledge and previous background and experience, I mean, I try to help out as many people as I can. Wherever they can. Now, business side of things, obviously you want to hone in on like your specialty or like your niche, as they call it. So for me, I try to help out like athletes. Like that's my passion. I love working with athletes and helping them exceed to the next level. But really, just anyone. I consider on my page, I talk about it on my fitness page. That if you have a body, you're an athlete, because I mean, you can use your body to do these incredible things that you would have never thought of. But if you don't have the like kind of things that I lacked with, which was knowledge, if you don't have the guidance or the tools to do it, like you're not really going to be able to take advantage of that. So that's really what I try to provide to a lot of my clients is the knowledge, the support. Everyone's lacking, like they're not using the ability of their body to be an athlete because there's something restricting them. It can be time, it can be money. There's a bunch of different things, but as far as like what I provide to my clients, it's all of that. Just kind of like that breadth of knowledge. I really just want to help as many people as possible, and more so for the knowledge base. That's why I love like posting on social media, is because I mean it's free knowledge, and I think that the more knowledge I can put out there to everyone, the more they can take it for what it's worth. I know we were talking a little bit before this about like doing your due diligence and researching into that, but that's why I always emphasize too with any information I give out is I've done my homework, I've done my research, and I would never share anything that would be detrimental to someone. But that's why I always tell people, for my content or whatnot, take it with a grain of salt, and do your homework on that as well. Don't just trust me. Look into it, and you might find something that's different or something that works better for you. So, I mean, just wide breadth of clients, but definitely like working with athletes more because that's where I came from. So
yeah. Man. Something I was thinking about when you were saying that was, isn't it interesting how if you're consistently posting, kind of what you're talking about with your clients or the people that are watching what you like are posting, to take it with a grain of salt. Isn't it interesting though? Like if you were to post one specific reel or video within that time frame, that's what you knew. That's what you knew really well. But then over the course of time, you grow, and then sometimes it's like, oh, actually, instead of rotating your arm to the left, you actually should rotate it to the right. So I like how you mentioned that everybody needs to do their due diligence, because you may have a piece of the puzzle, but there's also another piece out there that maybe they're not seeing as well.
Absolutely. And I mean, just to go off that, it goes back to, just like advancements in technology or advancements in the field. And this can go for any field, not just the health and fitness industry, but, any aspect of life. Like, there might be something new that, we didn't know before, but now we do know. So that's another thing too with me as far as posting on social media. For anyone who does post on social media, if you run out of like content or things to like post, you can always repost something that you've done and either like vamp it up or just kind of like reiterate it, because you can, like you were talking about, at this one point in time you might have known this, but now you actually know a little bit more, so you can just be like, okay, well, like, and you can point out your flaws. I think accepting your flaws and like or like failures or things that you learned about makes you a more genuine person, just to be like, hey, like, this time, I did actually thought it was this, but like you were saying, that rotating to the left, but like now you actually got to rotate to the right. So, and acknowledging that is so important as far as, building your character and just, actually making sure that you're trustworthy, you know. And on social media, you know, you gotta be trustworthy. Otherwise, people are gonna be like, this guy's a fraud. So yeah.
Yeah, building in public. I like how you mentioned that. Showing your challenges or your issues or the things that you've done or the things that you're trying to attain. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. So then, like, what are some things you would? I know you said you're trying to spread a little bit more knowledge to the people that just they don't have that information. So how is it that you physically help them?
Physically wise, I help them. One, depending on their goal. I always take every single one of my clients, regardless of whether they're a personal training client or a recovery client, through a very in-depth like initial assessment process. You know, same way a doctor goes over an assessment with you, that's the same way like us trainers, like we need to, you know, take our clients through that, you know. So for me, I take them through like movement assessments first, then mobility. Prior to that, I actually take a look at, you know, their health history, just the important things, any previous injuries or whatnot. From there, I identify any kind of like weaknesses, compensations, or just like areas of improvement. And then I build a program from there for them, you know, so whatever they're going for. So if it's strength, if it's for my elderly clients, if it's, you know, just working on more balance or being able to walk for a longer distance or climb upstairs, all the way down to, you know, like a 12-year-old, you know, who's, you know, looking to just like get better at their sport or whatnot, more agility, you know. It's just kind of like tailoring that towards them. So I know it's kind of like very general, but it's more so I always tailor every program towards each client. There was a mentor I had when I was first starting off with training. He told me that not when you are going through your, you know, world of personal training, you can't look at every client as a cookie cutter client. You know, you can't be like, okay, this program is going to work for this person, this person, this person, this person, you know. You have to tailor it to their needs of what they're looking for. So I do offer personal training, so whether it's for weight loss, strength, whether it's trying to compete at an athletic sport, I do offer that as far as like a general. But then I hone in on like specific like areas of that can benefit the person. And it's not necessarily, I know you brought up the question as far as being physical. It's not just physical, what I've realized. Being in the industry, it's all, a majority of it's mental. You know, it's a majority of it is mental. And for some of my clients, I'm not going to lie, it's more of just trying to kind of build a better structure, a better mindset as far as how to achieve their goals of what they're going for. Because, you know, the main thing that's restricting a lot of people is their mindset. It's not the physical ability of them. They can do it. It's just their mindset. You know, if they're saying like, oh, like I might be a little nervous with this, or I'm going to do this wrong, you know, those are the things that I really try to provide them and like kind of help invigorate them, you know, with like the same way I was talking about my professor, invigorating me with passion, invigorate my clients with that passion, and giving them a safe space to do so, you know. So whether it is the training or whether it's like recovery and working with them like for the stretches, scraping or cupping, those are the physical aspects of it, but there's the mental side and there's the psychological side as well that, you know, I really try. And I get it, I'm not like a therapist, but I think any trainer could attribute to this, like we are kind of therapists in a way. Our clients talk about anything and everything with us, so whatever's going on in their lives, like we're hearing and we're kind of like coming down to that common ground with them. So
can you talk to me about the like disparity between somebody with a very proper mindset and how it's attributed to the success, and then talk to me about somebody with a negative mindset and how it's led not so much to their success?
That makes total sense. To be honest, the people who have like the strongest mindsets that I've found from my experience are athletes. You know, they're wanting to push themselves. They have a high goal, but not everyone that I have worked with who isn't an athlete has actually. Some people have that same mindset still, so it just really depends on the person and their upbringing.
Right.
But as far as people who do have a strong mindset, to be honest, like that's why I love working with athletes, because I can just go ham on them. I can just be like I can literally bring out the boot camp in me, which I don't usually have for a lot of my clients. But I can be like, boom, like, hey, like you're complaining about this, like why are you complaining about it? You know, you're an athlete, you should be able to handle this, you know. And they're all like complaining. So there's that side to it. So people, the people I work with who are have that strong mindset, it's just for me, it's a matter of there's this movie I just watched that brings up to me. For me, I'm a big movie watcher. I grew up as a kid watching movies. It's called Gran Turismo. It's on Netflix. It's about this Mr. Martinborough. He's a gamer and he's trying to become a racer. Or he's not trying to. There was an opportunity with Nissan who like offered this, and this is a true story actually. And they brought gamers and they wanted to put a gamer into a sports car and like actually race in a real race. But what I want to derive from that is the character. I can only think of his name from Stranger Things. The actor Hopper.
Oh, okay.
I don't know the actor's name.
David yeah. Something. Yeah.
Yes. He and his character in Gran Turismo, when he initially gets like the top like 5 gamers right there, he goes like, I'm not here to see what you can do, I'm here to see what you can't do, you know. And so like for me and the athletes, like I focus on that. I would go like, I'm here to kind of see what you can't do, you know. I'm gonna push your limits and I'm gonna test you and I'm gonna see what you're made of. You know, I'm gonna keep pushing you until you literally break, and then from there, see if you can recover and keep pushing it. So that's one side of the token as far as like the strong mindset.
Right.
As far as the people who are necessarily, it's not a negative mindset, but it's more of like they're needing more help or more guidance. For them, it's a matter of meeting them where they're at. You know, I think, as I mentioned, everyone has the ability to do anything in this life. You know, regardless of whatever they feel is limiting. Because I don't think limitations are put on us. It's things that we create ourselves. That's why. Well, my quote. I don't know if you have this one from my bio. Is "You're your own worst enemy." I have that because it is. It's true. Like, the limitations we put on ourselves, like, I mean, I've seen, and I'm sure everyone's heard different crazy stories, like people like amputees doing these crazy feats, and I get these are just like physical things or fitness things, but like there's people out there doing crazy things from all these limitations or restrictions that were put on them initially, and they still blossom. So that always tells me that like the only person limiting yourself is yourself. You're the only one person that's gonna be like, hey, like, I can't do this, or like I'm a little uncomfortable doing this, or just so many things that you can bring up in your own head that you're just like maybe, and so you are your own worst enemy.
Yeah, you can easily convince yourself of the things that are going on inside of your head, and because you give yourself evidence sometimes too with the things that you think and things that you see. Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Absolutely. And so for me, as far as working with those type of clients, it's a matter of what I've realized is it's not like an abrupt thing. I'm just like, boom, like, hey, we got to take these down, or you got to stop doing this or whatnot. It's like I said, meeting them on their common ground and then kind of easing them in. And what I've realized with my clients who have started with needing a little bit more assistance and guidance and help, both with the like workouts, but also like mentally as well, is once they do get at least that little ball rolling, like it snowballs, and then that's how they turn into this, just incredible person that they never knew would have come from that. Don't get me wrong, I have had people who, I've tried to work with and coach, and it just didn't really work out. And I don't take that as necessarily a failure or anything. I just take it as, like maybe I'm not the right person, like, or right trainer for that person. And I'm totally fine with saying that. I've told certain clients that, like, hey, like, I get, like, I can see, like, where your goals are and, like, what you're looking for, but, like, training with me might not be the best fit for each other. And then I don't just leave people to just on their own. I'll be like, hey, like, but I know this trainer who would be a good fit, like me being in the health and fitness industry, like I know other trainers as well, so I'll be like, hey, like, this person would actually be a good fit for you, and I would highly recommend you going to them. And so don't get me wrong, some people have been like, oh, like, what, you don't want to work with me or whatnot, but I don't take any offense to them. I'm just like, hey, like, like I was talking about the in-depth assessment process, the mental side of it and like talking to them is part of it too.
Yeah.
I have to get to know the person, see who they are, what makes them tick, and then I wouldn't say what makes them tick, but like just what makes them them, and then I just try to evaluate them from there as far as, okay, is this program gonna work for you, or is it just gonna kind of like just derail you, you know? Because like I said, I have had clients who they've taken part of my training, and I tried meeting them there, and then just like try like snowballing it, but then it just kind of like falls off, and I'm like, don't get me wrong, like it could be me. There's things that I always look back on when I have lost a client like that. I'm like what could I have changed or done better? Yeah. But at the same time too, you know, that makes me better as far as like that assessment process. I think having that in-depth assessment is what kind of will determine or dictate kind of how the rest of the training is going to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you heard that saying? I'm pretty sure you've heard it, but you can take a horse over to the river, but you can't force the horse to drink the water.
Yeah.
It's just how it tends to go sometimes. Talk to me about the. I like that you're saying that sometimes you meet them where they're at, right? And then somehow, some way, you just ease them so that way they could get that little snowball rolling. Because you just need a little bit of momentum to really get to where you want to get to. What does rolling the snowball, getting a little bit more momentum look like in your program for somebody that is a negative mindset? How can they start getting that ball rolling?
So if people have a negative mindset, it's, once again, for each person, it's going to be specifically tailored. But as far as the negative mindset, it's the probably biggest thing that helps getting them out of there is seeing a result, seeing something in a positive direction. You know, if someone who has that mindset of like that they can't do it, or that, you know, maybe like they shouldn't be doing it, you know, seeing something as a result to kind of like push them, or even just nudge them. It doesn't have to be like a push. It's just a little nudge of like positivity of a good result that they put work in for is what I offer, you know, with the training program. So how that looks as far as like a physical side of things is in the very first month or 2 months, it's critical for me in my training with anyone that I work with. It's a matter of, after the assessment, I'll know kind of like any imbalances or whatnot, and I always try explaining certain things for them in depth. That way they know exactly the reason why we're doing, well, first of all, what we're doing, and then the reason why we're doing it. But also in the initial assessment, what I go over is setting a specific goal to hit, but it's what we were talking about, like setting a SMART goal, because the important thing, I think, for people who have a negative mindset, as far as the SMART, it's an acronym: specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, timely, is the R, realistic. In the initial session, that you have to make it realistic. You know, if someone's saying, like, I want to lose 60 pounds in 3 months, you know, like, I'm going to tell that person, I'm like, you can lose 60 pounds in 3 months, but you're going to feel like terrible. You're not going to be healthy. You're going to be cutting out so much food, you know, and you're actually going to just throw your health to trash. You know?
I call that artificial progress.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm realistic as that sense. You know, I'll tell them, like, hey, you want to do this the right way? Like, you're going to lose those 60 pounds. It's going to take a year, 2 years. It's going to take a while. But, you know, it's that consistency. So what I try setting is, like, a smaller goal for those people who have, like, that negative mindset. I'll set a smaller goal that I know they can achieve in those, like, for that first month or 2 months. That way, when they do see that goal, they're like, oh, dang, like, I'm like, hey, like, look. And don't get me wrong, there's some clients that I have been a part of my program where we have that, I have monthly check-ins, but where we have that monthly check-in, and then I show them the little progress, and they're like, they're still like, like, that's only a little bit or whatnot. I'm like, hey, but did it go down? Did it, you know, did you, is it a bad, you know, achievement? Like, no, like, this is a great achievement. Yeah. You did, you know, you accomplished this in this amount of time. Yeah. Like, imagine what you could achieve with this much
more time.
You know? Yeah. So for people who do have, you know, kind of a mindset that's like, I hate calling it negative, but it's just like a mindset where they're needing more assistance or guidance. It's a matter of just giving them those little things and changing their perspective of those little positive results that they're getting.
That's so cool. Something that I was just thinking about too is the shortcut is never the shortcut. you can take the shortcut, but it's actually just going to delay your progress after a specific amount of time.
Absolutely.
So I like that you're kind of giving them small little trinkets and little rewards that they can take on the way. But in the process of you giving them the like little trinkets, they stay consistent. It's actually going to be more maintainable. The weight loss, the better joint health, or whatever it is, it's going to be more maintainable, and it'll carry them on for the rest of their life.
I have I've had a lot of different mentors, but this mentor who told me about what I'm better sure right now, his name's Mark Perez. He actually has helped me when I was training at EOS. He was my fitness manager. As far as like actual like the training side of things, not necessarily the sales side, but he helped me a lot as far as kind of like just starting, my growth and my personal training like business side. And one thing he told me when it comes to training is because when I was starting off as a trainer, I'm very kind of like, I take what I learned from the book and I'm like, okay, here it is. Over the years, I've learned how to kind of like better explain it or elaborate.
So they could understand it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
But one thing he told me was you got to give them a little bit of what they want and a little bit of what they need, So if someone's coming in and they're like, hey, like, I want to get like bigger arms and whatnot, and I hear them there, but like say like they had a previous surgery on their shoulder, I'm gonna in their program I'll start them off. I'll give them like the arm exercise they want and everything, but I'm also gonna be throwing in some exercise to help like stabilize the joint or improve range of motion in the joint. And so shout out to Mark Perez. He helped me out as far as learning that and kind of sprinkling what they need into there but still give them what they want, because anyone who comes to a trainer, obviously, like, if you hear a trainer, people are like, oh, okay, you're going to work out, you're going to you're going to look great. So, we kind of have to hold up our reputation as far as that.
I hear that.
But at the same time, helping them improve with their health and their longevity. That's what I really try focusing on, is making sure that whatever their goal is, that they achieve it, but then they can maintain that in the long run, rather than just kind of like, oh yeah, just for this wedding or for summertime. It's something that they can do like in the long run to help them out.
I love that. It's a win-win from what it seems like. If I go to a personal trainer and I want to get bigger arms and he gives me arms, I'm going to stick with you for a little bit
Absolutely.
longer.
And your shoulders are healthy.
Yeah, and my shoulders are healthy. That's a win-win, man. So one thing you provide a lot of information and like you're adamant about in your content is like your warm-ups, your dynamic stretches, and things of that nature. So what do you find are some crucial things that we don't know that are very important to the way we function and train and perform that nobody's really talking about?
I think it's not necessarily that no one's talking about it, but I think more people need to hear it, is as far as like the training and like the warm up and everything. First of all, my warm up consists of like 25 minutes almost. So that's like almost like half of my workout. That's like a third of my workout. But warming up is so crucial. That's how you prevent injuries, is proper warm up of your heart, of your muscles, of your joints. So like that's why my warm up takes that long, and that's why for my clients I only usually have an hour with them, but I do give them a good amount of a warm up. That way they can prevent those injuries. But one piece of advice that I would recommend as far as training wise is training into different ranges of motion. There's this principle that your body follows, which is called the SAID principle. It stands for specific adaptations to impose demands. And what I've realized, I used to work in as a PT aide in a physical therapy clinic. I've worked at stretch labs. I've been my own trainer. One thing I've learned from that is that with any of those things, like your body is going to adapt to whatever demands you put on it. So as far as like health, for any healthy individuals, if you're training into this deep range of motion, like your body's going to react. It's going to improve upon that. And then from there, it's just a matter of maintaining that and keeping consistent with that. I know for a lot of trainers, they talk about maintaining strict form, or not even just trainers, but like a lot of like literature talks about maintaining strict form. The strict form is just, it is good. It's important for like heavy lifts, and it's important for like, proper engagement of certain muscles. But as far as like mobility, as far as like maintaining your good joint health, you want to train in these different ranges of motions. And there's 3 planes that your body trains in. There's sagittal, frontal, and transverse. So forward and back, up and down, and then this is the sagittal plane. Side to side is the frontal plane, and then transverse is any rotational movement. So training in those 3 planes, that's the way to go for all of that.
Tracy was on the show a couple weeks ago, and she was telling me a lot about the whole deal about rotation that most of us don't really get that. She said something that really like intrigued me, and she was like, "You gotta hydrate your spine." I was like, "Whoa, yeah. I've never heard that before," and it makes a lot of sense. I assume not many of us make that rotary. What is it like, the torso?
Yeah, torsion and everything. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, your spine it's made of these gel-filled sacs, just to keep it simple. It's so in between each spine is your intervertebral disc. So yeah, it's literally a gel, and there's fluid in there. So if you're not moving it can harden, it can stiffen, and over time, people get like compressed disc. That's where herniation comes from. That's where like sciatic pain comes from. So if you're not moving your spine in different ranges and just really working like all of the sacs, but it is a gel-filled sac. That's where like a lot of the loss comes and like injuries stem from.
Makes sense.
Yeah, the SAID principle can go both ways, positive or negative. Yeah. So like if you, like I was talking about, if you're just stationary, your body will respond and adapt to you being stationary or sedentary. And like I said, that's where then when you do move, that's where you get injured. Or it can be on the positive side where, if you are moving, if you are training in deep ranges of motion, training like more functional, then your body will respond to those functional. It'll be like, okay, I need to extend my leg out this far and like bend my knee this far, open up my hip. It's going to respond to that. It's not going to just be like, oh no, I don't want to do that. It's going to respond to that. I'm not talking about sensation. It's not going to respond to that stressor, essentially.
How important and how crucial is it to engage with it, like to continuously get it moving? And what does that look like?
It's important, honestly, on a daily basis, especially for people who are like desk workers or like truck drivers, or they're seated for a long time. Any position that you're maintaining for a long time is going to be a bad position. So a lot of people think like some people have come to me as far as posture. They're like, oh, how do I fix my posture? And it's just getting moving, just using like different ranges, different ranges of motion. A lot of people are like, oh, like how can I sit better and whatnot? And to be honest, any position that you're maintaining for an extended period of time, I'd say longer than 30 minutes, is going to be a harmful position for you. It can be crossing your legs and holding that for 30 minutes. It can be sitting at a desk for 30 minutes, which is something we most commonly see. Yeah. Or like some people talk about the standing desk. Standing for longer than 30 minutes at a time can be beneficial, or not beneficial, detrimental to your health. Because guess what? Your body's going to start adapting to just being on your feet. You might form like different imbalances in your foot and ankle complex. So I always recommend for like my clients who are either truck drivers or like just stationary workers to just get moving. Like every 20-30 minutes or so, just change like positions, cross the leg over, or sit on a stability ball. Then after 20-30 minutes you can sit in a chair too. It's just more so just moving into different ranges. And it is a daily thing because I'm not saying it has to be like a strict regimen of it, but the more you move, the better your body's going to be able to feel and just adapt and just move around, do things that you normally do, There's these people I'm sure everyone sees on social media, like these 60, 70-year-olds who are doing like still gymnastics and everything, and it's just because they haven't stopped, like the movement side of things as far as all that. And when I talk about this, I am talking about healthy individuals. If you're going through like rehab or something like previous injury, then definitely refer to your physician or your physical therapist. For sure. But training in these different ranges is important on a daily basis, to get into, because any time away from that, you know, your body's constantly readapting to, you know, your skeletal structure, it changes every 10 years. You get a new bone structure based on what the previous 10 years of your life looked like. And it's the same thing. It's actually even less for, you know, like your muscle structures or different things like that. You know, they talk about your brain, you know, it stops growing at, you know, like 26 or 28, I think 25. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just different things like that, but you can challenge these things. You can challenge your body, and that's what causes it to grow. And I think that's a great analogy as far as for growth as like characters. You know, like if you don't challenge yourself to, you know, like whether it's reading, whether it's, you know, if you don't challenge your brain with like knowledge, then so it's gonna start to, you know, just stay stagnant. You know, so that's what I love about the health and fitness industry. It's, you know, it is physical, but at the same time, like it's growing you mentally too, as far as like learning like different things. A lot of the stuff that you train with is very applicable to something you're learning, you know, whether it's a language or whether it's whether it's, you know, going to school to get your degree or whatnot, or it's running a business. It's very like on the same path as far as like what success looks like in that area.
Yeah.
There. So
yeah, it's just another pillar, right? Another
Absolutely.
health pillar.
Absolutely.
I was watching Mr. and Mrs. Smith a while ago. Have you ever seen the show?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, the show?
Yeah.
I haven't seen the show. I watched the movie.
Show's so good.
Just as good? I have to take a look.
But Donald Glover says in the show, like, life is maintenance. And I think that kind of attributes to like what you were just talking about at the moment. You know, we have a lot of things that go on on a regular basis, but in order to take care of our health, we're also taking care of our health 5, 10 years, 20 years from now.
Yeah.
So getting yourself moving or training in any particular area or endeavor, it's beneficial because of the person that you're going to be. And it's helping you out because now it's not only helping you out in the present moment because you're feeling healthier, feeling a little bit better, but it's also going to just, like you said, kind of like the 60 and the 7-year-olds who are in gymnastics.
Yeah.
They're capable of doing a lot of different things because they took care of themselves when they were younger.
Absolutely. Yeah, and just to go off, piggyback off that, you know, it goes back to as far as, you know, just staying consistent with it. You know, I think one thing in the health and fitness industry or being a trainer is, you know, I'm diving in a little bit into like what the sales kind of looks like, but we're not selling a tangible product. Like, people can't physically see, like when I tell you, hey, you're going to have like abs and you're going to be shredded, I can't literally show them a picture of what they're going to look like. As far as the sales, it's you got to paint the picture for them. You have to be like, dang, like, hey, what would this look like? You know, what in 6 months, 8 months from now, you know? And so that's one of the struggles that, you know, well, not struggles, but like it's one of the challenges in as far as like training and working with new like prospects or like clients. It's like, hey, like you can't sell like a water bottle. You can't sell like, hey, like here's this, like this, it does this for this and this for you. You're selling like their health.
Yeah.
You're selling their future essentially. As I've said that sometimes because it's their future. You know, what you do to your body, how you treat it is how you're gonna feel 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the line from now. So.
Yeah. You're trying to sell the transformation that is not yet tangible.
Exactly.
But it's desired.
Exactly. Yep, absolutely. Greatly put.
So, through all the things that you've been talking to me about, you know, the hydrating your spine, which was super cool to learn about, what does the impact look like to your training through all the things that you've learned about movement, performance, and recovery, and how has it changed the way you train yourself, but also train your clients too?
Okay, yeah. The way I train myself is the way I train my clients, so I'll just dive into that. It's just to a different factor, of course, you know. Whenever I learn something new, like I apply it to myself first, actually, and then if I notice like it does work or it doesn't really work, then at that point I'll decide, okay, like let me apply this to what I'm doing with my clients then. As far as the way I train for myself, currently I am looking to compete at a High Rocks event. Have you heard of a High Rocks event? It's this. It started in Germany, but it's growing huge. It has a huge following. I'll just give a little background before I get into what High Rocks is. But I've been for the past like 5 years after baseball. I was looking for something I wanted to compete at, And I'm not necessarily an endurance person, so I was like, marathon's not really, Spartan race, not really. I get it has obstacles, but I was still like, eh. And then I heard about High Rocks about a couple months ago in like November or October. And what it is it's 8 stations. They're the same stations at no matter where it is. They have them across the world right now. The nearest one to here was Anaheim. They just had it. And I found out 1 week before they had it, so I was like, I can't compete at it because I haven't prepped for it. But there's 8 stations. It's the ski erg, which is like kind of like a pull down cable machine. The second one is a sled push. Then it's a sled pull. Then it's broad burpee jumps, and then it's what's the fifth one? Farmer carries. What are the last 2? Wall balls and there's one I'm missing. Oh, row machine and row machine. So those are the 8 stations. It's the same order, same everything every time. But in between each of those stations, you run 1 kilometer. So it's both endurance, but it's also strength. And that's what I really liked about it. And so that's how I'm training for right now currently is pretty much a hybrid athlete is what it is. I know hybrid athletes are getting bigger out there. So for me training right now, my workout split looks like 3 strength days and then 3 running days. Now each of those strength days and each of those running days is a little different from each other. So this is the training for me. Not all my clients train 6 days out of the week. So I kind of break it down into more tailored to their goal. But essentially... as far as like the actual workout itself, like the workout structure, that's what I transfer over to my clients. So always start off with a warm-up. My warm-up is like 20-25 minutes. For my clients, it's like 10 to 15 minutes just because I don't want like half their workout to be just warming up. They're gonna be like, what the heck am I paying you for? Just to warm up. But I do go over a very in-depth warm-up with my clients. So we have the same workout structure for warm-ups. Then we go into kind of like joint mobility. So we'll do kind of like either ankle circles, and that's what I do for myself too. Ankle circles. We'll work up to the knee, kind of getting the knee moving a little bit. Every single joint, ankles, knees, hips, spine, shoulders, and the neck. So I have all my clients do the same thing, and then that's what I do for myself too. So starting off with that. And then I move on to like a core engagement. So a lot of people put core work or like abs on a specific day. Your core is the middle of your entire body. So whether you're doing legs or you're doing upper body or you're doing cardio, it's still the center of your body. It's incorporated in every movement. So your core should be challenged. You should be working on a core exercise, like 1 to 3 exercises on a daily basis. Every time you go in the gym, you should be activating and engaging your core. And that's what I do for my clients. Every time they're in there and every time I give them workouts on their own, like they go through that same warm-up. So they go through getting their heart rate up, then they go through the joint mobility warm-up, and then they focus first on engaging their core in some way. Like I said, a lot of people do just abs on like, I'll hit like shoulders and abs on this day. I'm like, no, like it's your core. It's called your core for a specific reason. It's the middle of your whole body. So, then they'll go through a core warm up, and then from there we get into the workout. Depending on what the workout is, we might warm up, prime some other muscles. Like if we're doing legs on a day, I'll have them warm up their glutes in a similar fashion to their core, just getting it primed a little bit, get some blood flow in the muscles we need to stabilize those joints. And then we get into the workout, and then we'll stretch at the end. That's what I do as far as like my specific strength day warm-ups or like strength day workouts. Yeah. And then my clients, it's the same thing as well. On my run days, which isn't necessarily the same as my clients, but I have 3 different runs that I do. So I do a light long distance run on one of my run days. Then I'll do an explosive power run. So I'll do like hill sprints, take a long rest, like let my body fully recover, do another. That's more so focusing on power. Or I'll go on the salt treadmill if it's raining outside like it has the past couple days. Yeah. And then my 3rd day is a fartlek training. Have you heard of fartlek training? Yes. Yeah. So I'll go for about a 5K run, maybe a little longer, and I'll do intervals. So I'll go for like my regular kind of rest pace, and then I'll go on to not necessarily a sprint, but about a 2-minute faster pace from whatever I was at, and then do that for like 10, 20 seconds and then bring it back down. And I'll do that just until I complete the 2 miles or whatever it is that I do. So yeah, that's my workout structure, and it does translate over to my clients. The cardio days for my clients, it's usually just 30 minutes of cardio. There's different kinds of cardio. What I have them do is LIST cardio, low intensity, steady state. So that's 30 minutes on light intensity on either Stairmaster or treadmill or whatnot. You know, anything that's going to be low intensity, but get their heart rate like a little bit up. So anything I do for myself, like I put myself, my body, like try experiencing it first, see if it works. And I get it, my clients might have a different body type or whatnot, but I look into the research behind things, and then I'll apply it to me. And then if it works or doesn't work, if it doesn't work, I still have it in the back of my mind because it might work for one of my clients.
Right.
So, but then I just throw it into kind of their programming too. So, anyone who does work with me, like they're literally doing what I do. So, some of my clients, they go through a workout. I'm like, oh, this is so tough. Like, why do you make it hard? And I was like, I did it. I did mine this morning. We did the exact same
right
thing.
before at 9 a.m.
And they're like, you're lying. And I'm like, no, like go check out my gym ventures. So, but it's cool. I always like being like, I would never tell anyone to do something that I haven't done myself, or like experience something that I haven't experienced myself. So.
Yeah, you got to be your your hamster wheel. You got to be your own hamster wheel sometimes.
That's right.
So 6 days a week, you're training, you're going to school, helping clients. How is it you find time for all that?
It's I think it goes to mindset. Me, when I was growing up as a kid, there's a lot I went through. I went through the foster care system for a little bit. I had to move. I got kicked out of my house, unfortunately, and so like there's been a lot of like stressors in my life early on in my life. Yeah. And for me, I learned a lot. I learned to mature in a very, I wouldn't say rapid pace, but like I feel like at a time that like it was just like not meant to happen. And I think anything that's good happens, like it's gonna be challenging. It's gonna be something that you're not comfortable with. But with all those stressors that I endured early on in my life, like through my teens, it made me into the person that I think I can handle a lot more stress now and a lot more challenges now, to where I can keep myself calm, I can keep myself, composed, and just know everything's gonna be okay at the end. Everything's gonna there might be some bad, hard, tough times, and there might be some great times, and you want to enjoy those as best as possible. But at the end of it all, it's all going to be okay. It's it's everything happens for a reason, and sometimes you don't know the reason, but if it happens, just all you can do is you can only control what you can control. You just gotta leave everything else up to whatever it's meant to be. So as far as managing all that, sometimes it can get stressful. And having a routine is important. I would hire anyone out there. I'd recommend a routine. Because it gives you something to be like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna get this done. Setting a to-do list the night before helps out too. What you're gonna do the next day. Just those things, kind of and structuring it in a way that I know like I can manage. Like it helps me to actually find time to just enjoy the little things. Whether it's I love to hang out with my family and friends. That's very important to me. And I do find time for that, but I'm only able to do that just because I structure my day the way it is, I follow my routine. I make sure I'm on it, and if anything, there's always things that kind of like go a little out of place or like off script. Yeah. And for me, I just roll with the punches, or just kind of like be like, no, like okay, like so this happened, okay, well, boom, like let's try doing it this then, or rearranging it this way, and there's two sides of that token. Sometimes I'm like, okay, well, this has to be done, and so priorities are another important thing too. Mm-hmm. So routine, priorities are also important, and everyone's gonna have different priorities. I don't have any kids. Someone who has kids might be like, hey, like my kids are everything, and it goes back to training once again. It's like those are things that you have to understand, but also adapt to. Adversity. I think that was a big thing that I was preached to throughout my baseball career was adversity. There's gonna be things that come up where it's either out of your control, but you have to adapt to it. Like it's a decision you're gonna have to make still. So it's just a matter of just rolling with the punches and making a decision, a choice, and then you know, just being able to accept the outcome of whatever it is. You know, I think too many people are afraid to make a choice, and then they end up not making the choice, which ultimately like leads to their downfall or a failure or something like that. And so for me, like whenever I make a decision based on, I don't know, if it's something that comes up out of nowhere, I don't know, I'm confident in my decision, and I'm willing to accept whatever the consequences from that are. Whether it be good, whether it be bad. Over the years, I'd like to think that I've become more intelligent as far as making choices. But I know that I'll never be perfect. So, you know, I know that there's still going to be failures to come. And, you know, I'm here and I'm ready for it. And I think my past and everything I've been through and everything that I'm doing is making me into the man that, you know, helps me make those decisions and is able to live up to whatever the results or consequences come from that.
Yeah. That's beautiful, man. Thank you for expressing that.
Yeah,
I appreciate the transparency there.
Mm-hmm.
It also just kind of goes to show, like, you're also working to be a man who's capable of enduring certain things, which you already are that person. But now, the more that you do it, you're capable of, like, who do you want to be, right? It's like, do you want to be the person that is working on their business, trying to get their degree and trying to train in the same process, trying to be like I said before, you know, somebody who's healthy in the long run? Or do you want to just continuously make excuses and, like you said before, be your own worst enemy and make the excuses that hold you down 100%. Instead of being the person that you could have become?
Exactly.
No?
Yeah. That's one of those choices, like I said, that we're faced with in life, and it's just, you know, you got to choose.
Yeah. Dude, yeah. So good. So good. There was one last question that I had, but I think I waltzed right over it. Okay. And it's kind of going back, apologies for going back to the whole warm-ups and stuff. So let's say it's early in the morning. It's a 4 a.m. workout. I got work at 5:30, and I only have about 45 minutes to train. If I want to warm up, I want to do what Joseph says, I want to do what's a part of my program, what are some things I can do that isn't a lot, but it still gets my joints moving, still gets me warmed up, and still primes me prior to a lifting session? What are some things I could do?
Yeah, so like working with people in a time constraint, right?
Yeah.
Who have like limited time.
Right.
There's all you really need for like certain exercises is just like I mentioned 1 to 3. When I give like a range, it can just be one exercise, but just we got to make sure that one exercise is like using kind of like a good range of the, like different joints and whatnot. So for someone like say that was waking up at that time and only having a limited time to work out, you know, I would choose exercises like a great one that I usually recommend for like kind of like just a one exercise mobility type thing is either a Turkish get up with a light weight, because you're using literally your ankles, knees, hips, like everything is moving together, shoulders. Turkish get ups or progressed 90-90 hip switches. It's a little hard to kind of demonstrate here, but I'm sure you can. There's plenty of videos out there.
We got imagination.
Exactly. Yeah. But any one of those two like are just kind of like the most bang for your buck. So and that's just one like mobility exercise. People that I work with, you know, like I said, I tailor it towards everyone. So some people like maybe they have bad hips or whatnot, and it's just it kind of flows into everything else. Like even the workout. Like if I know like okay you're pressed for time, we'll do more so of like combination workouts. So rather than just a squat, we'll probably do like a squat to press. If we're wanting to focus on like arms, then we'll make sure like your rest time is probably really short for the arms, and we're just kind of like banging it out like supersets, giant sets, keeping it like a little bit quick, more time under tension. And like I said, once again, it all goes back to what the person's goals are.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, those are just like a couple things as far as like getting moving. What I recommend, like for people who are time constrained or have a time constraint, is just little things go a long distance, and if you do it consistently. So there's some people who are like, okay, yeah, well I have Saturday off and I can just do like a 2-hour full workout there. But honestly, it's better to just do like a 10 minute like mobility movement warm up on a daily basis rather than just like kind of all at once. Because once again, it goes back to that SAID principle. The the SAID principle also kind of goes for like how often, the frequency of what you're exposing your body to, rather than just like all at once, you know. So anyone who is time constrained, I say the little things go a long way, especially if you do it on a daily basis. So for the like anyone that I work with who has a time constraint, I just give them, you know, the most bang for their buck exercises, one, but also things that, you know, don't take up too much time. And sometimes it's even at home workouts. You know, sometimes I do offer programs for people who just work out at home. So if it's something that, you know, they're just like, hey, like I literally only have like this time allotment, or I have my kids at that time. You know, there's so many things that like I've come across with my clients that it's like, dang, like it's really restricted. Like, and they're like, yeah, why do you think I haven't been able to? But there's still a program for you. So I build that for them, and I'm like, hey, like you can do this workout with your kids. Like, go ahead, they can have fun. Like, you can curl them, you know, just something like that. You know, things that just help out to give them a workout that can get them to their goal, because they still want to get to their goal. They just have certain things certain other priorities that, you know, might necessarily need more attention. And it's not a bad thing. It could be family, it could be your kids or whatnot. So it could be that you need the money and you're working 2 jobs. So
some restriction for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. But I just try meeting them. It goes back to what I was saying, meeting them where they're at. Yeah. And because there's something for everyone out there, you know, and your body is important. You only get one of them. You only get one of it. So you better make sure you take care of it, because it's you know, you only have a limited time in it. So
yeah, that's so crucial, man. Mm-hmm. Marco said on the podcast, your body is an experiment.
Yeah, it sure is.
I never thought of it that way. I was like, whoa.
Yeah. I like to think of it as kind of like a sculpture almost, like you're creating, you know, which goes along.
You have the hammer, right?
Mm-hmm. But at the same time, like it can go the opposite way too. Like it could get worse. It could just be like, you know, if you left your statue out in the weather and it's just like deteriorating, same thing. Like it's gonna get all messed up and everything. So I agree with it's a tangent to the experiment thing. You know, an experiment can go wrong. You know, if you're not doing the right things for it. So, or it could go great. So.
I like the temple one too. Yeah, it's like a temple.
Mm-hmm. Body is a temple.
You treat it as such. Mm-hmm. Talk to me about Empire. Am I saying that right?
Empire.
EMPR.
I know it says Empire. So let me talk about that. Let me talk about the tag name. So Electric Movements, Performance and Recovery. It wasn't always called that. Okay. When I was just about to leave EOS, when I was trying to think of my business name and everything, I wanted to build a brand behind it. I love EDM music. I love all music, to be honest, but EDM at the time was like my big thing. I was like raves and everything. Was a big thing for me, and one thing for me as far as like naming for my business was. Not necessarily. I didn't want to do like fitness or like just some of like health. These generic ones. Exactly. But I also understood the fact that, like, you know, it might sound a little different, but Electric Movements was what I initially came up with. Partially from the EDM side, the electric, and then the movements, because I was like, it could be like electric fitness or something like that, and I was like, I don't really like the fitness. Like, I get it. It has that stigma behind it. People will know, okay, this is fitness. Because to be honest, with Electric Movements, I've had some people like, is it an electrical company? And I'm like, no, it's not an electrical company.
You come to us?
Exactly. So which is the reason why I had to put like the performance and recovery at the end. But initially it was Electric Movements. I have like my notebook, so like everything from when I started my business, I write down everything like on a daily basis, my thoughts, my kind of like what I'm thinking about for my business and even my personal life too. But I have it upstairs. It's literally the me writing down just a bunch of different names. I wrote like electric, I wrote like adaptive, and like just a list of like names that I potentially could call it. And the ones that stood out to me was electric and movements, and I was like, yeah, like it has a nice ring to it. So I did that, and then as far as the color scheme, I don't know if you remember the old Solo cups with like the teal and the purple, like the paintbrush kind of like on it. It was like a paper cup.
Yeah, I do actually. Yeah.
And that's where I got the color. I was like, you know, that's a cool color, and I feel like girls could wear that color when I do come out with merch. Yeah. I was like, yeah, like that's it right there, and then boom. So that was my color scheme, and then I came up with the logo and everything, and then over time I was just kind of like the Electric Movements, like I loved it, but I was like, I feel like it needs to have something like actually fitness related. Like that way, people when they think about it, they're like, boom, like I know it's fitness and recovery. So I was like performance and recovery there. So, but so the EM.PR, that's where it comes from. It looks like Empire, but it's electric movements, performance, and recovery.
Makes sense.
With all that. And then a little like insight into the name too, besides just the fact that I liked EDM was I was like, okay, well with electric movements, like everyone's body runs on electricity because your brain, your nerves, they all run on an electrical signal. So I was like, guess what? In order to move, it's electric. So like let's move with electricity. So that's where I came up with that. That's why I was like, that for sure is the
You
name,
put some good thought into it.
I did,
yeah,
absolutely.
For sure.
And which I think anything great should take a lot of thought into, especially when it's your baby, So that's where that's where the naming. But as far as the actual business, we'll get into that. It's been a long ride with it. I'll be completely honest. There's been some times where I took some time away from it, and then I came back, and then I kind of steered away from it again, and so it's been a bumpy ride for it. But right now, like as far as like what I have going for the business or for electric movements, as far as what I have going like for me in school, like everything's rolling really good, and I'm sure I'm gonna hit road bumps and other things too, but the main thing that I've lacked is consistency for me, and that's one thing that this year I know, like at the beginning of this year, I told myself that I'm going to be consistent. Everyone loves my content, and I get that there's maybe not everyone, but I'm gonna tell that for myself, like, hey, like everyone loves my content, like, and people interact with it, and it's something I'm passionate about too. So, there's no reason why I shouldn't. So like I plan to be consistent, just keep pushing out content, keep collaborating with great people such as yourself.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
And yeah, my business is going on a great road right now. I plan to have like hopefully some merch later this year. People can purchase and kind of like suit up with. But yeah, I mean, electric movements, performance, and recovery. The reason why I put performance in there too, as far as the naming, was, once again, I believe everyone is an athlete. If you have a body, you're an athlete. So performance doesn't just mean athletic performance. It also means, just if, like for my elderly clients, if you need to perform by going up the stairs, then guess what? That's performance there. So, and then same thing, like if it's carrying groceries, that's performing, or if it's lifting your kid, your baby, your newborn baby up, and you have a bad shoulder, that's performance there. So that's why the whole reasoning behind the electric movements, performance and recovery.
Dude, Joseph, I couldn't appreciate you more, man. Thank you so much for hopping onto the show.
Absolutely, I appreciate you for having me. It's been an honor, and hopefully, we can get this back again. I'm sure there's plenty more topics out there.
We got some content rolling, no doubt. Rolling out the red carpet for you. Like, what can we expect for you? What can we expect from you moving forward?
Expect some merch. Okay, that's definitely a big one. I expect more content, more collaborations. That's one thing too from previous content that I've learned from, is collaborating is so great. And just more growth and expect more information. If you want to follow me on my personal page, that's where I'll post like more kind of like who I am, just kind of like funny stuff or whatnot. The Gym Ventures series, where I'm just kind of like talking as I'm working out. That you can follow me at @jbangle_. If you're looking for more like informational content or just things to learn from as far as health and fitness and recovery, you can follow my Instagram, my fitness page. It's at em.pr and then _. Everything else was taken. Yeah. So I was like, oh,
you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, but we kept it simple still. But yeah, either one of those. I mean, like I said, just expect a lot coming out, a lot of content, a lot of knowledge, good information, a lot of fun. And if I'm always looking to collaborate. So if anyone's always open, or I'm sure we'll get some content, some more content too. But yeah, it's been an honor being here, and I appreciate it. Like I said, I was really excited for this. So it's been a blessing.
Yeah, thanks so much again. Thanks for giving me your home, giving me the
tight little
space. Giving me the tight space, being able to have the podcast here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. Appreciate you hopping on.
Heck yeah.